On the afternoon of April 26, 2025, 23-year-old Tamilore Odunsi called her parents in the UK for support. She was scared. She'd just finished her last clinical before graduation and was heading home to her Houston, Texas apartment, worried about what her roommate might do. Her parents, John and Adanique, stayed on the line with her, trying to comfort her, trying to be there, until the moment they couldn't. As she entered the apartment, they heard a confrontation, then screaming, then silence. Tammy's phone went dead.
Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide. This is your midweek mini case. We are Kai's AI co-hosts, and we narrate your Wednesday and Friday cases that Kai writes for you. Take some time out of your day, take a seat, and listen to this episode all the way to the end. If you like our retelling, then go ahead and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. You can also subscribe on our Patreon for free, patreon.com/loveandmurder. You do get some benefits for being a free subscriber, but if you want more, bonus episodes, case extras, the new Deadly Duo segment, and being a voice of the victim right along with us and Kai, then sign up to one of our bonus tiers, patreon.com/loveandmurder. Now let's get back to your midweek mini episode.
Before we get back to it, I want to note that this case is still ongoing, so everything said in this episode is alleged.
From thousands of miles away, her parents scrambled to call a friend in Houston and ask them to send police. At 3:50 p.m., the Houston Police Department officers arrived at the apartment. They saw blood on the concrete outside. They knocked repeatedly on the apartment door but got no response. Due to the blood on the concrete, police forced entry into the apartment. Inside, they found Tammy on the kitchen floor, stabbed more than 24 times. Paramedics pronounced her dead at the scene. Police officers found a male in one of the bedrooms with at least one stab wound. They later found out this was 40-year-old Chester Lamar Grant, Tammy's roommate. He was immediately transported to a hospital in critical condition. Detectives quickly secured the scene and started collecting evidence to piece together the events that led to this violent death. The saddest part was that Tammy was about to graduate from college. Tammy Odunsi moved from London to Houston in 2022 at just 17 years old to become a neonatal nurse. She enrolled at Texas Women's University and, by all accounts, was thriving. She loved kids and loved helping people. She was kind, ambitious, and full of joy. She was just weeks away from graduating with her Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Texas Women's University. She had spent years pouring herself into her studies, navigating the pressure of clinicals, exams, and adjusting to life in a new country. And she shared every step of that journey with over 31,000 followers on TikTok. Her TikTok account at Tamilore had millions of likes, and her Brit in America content was relatable and hilarious. She joked about Americans asking if the UK stopped everything for tea. She talked about how much she preferred life in the US and how excited she was for graduation. In one of her final videos, posted just days before she was killed, she danced with captions that read,
23 years old. BSN grad in 2 weeks. Vacations booked. Summer is 14 days away. Starting to look human again.
Earlier posts showed her beaming in her cap and gown, counting down the quote, 3 more weeks, until she crossed the stage. In another she wrote,
She doesn't know it yet, but a year from now, all her hard work will pay off. She'll be working as a nurse in her dream specialty.
She was ready and her cap and gown were already picked out. Tammy was living in a 2-bedroom apartment with Chester Grant. They weren't friends. Some reports say they'd only recently started living together. Others say it had been a few months. However, what was clear is that things were bad. There's a question that keeps coming up in the wake of Tammy's murder, and it's a fair one. How did Chester, a man with a long and violent history, end up living in the same apartment as a 23-year-old nursing student with no way of knowing the danger she was in? The apartment complex used Safe Rent Solutions, a tenant screening service tasked with identifying problematic rental applicants. However, the company failed to flag Chester's criminal history. Court records show that Chester had a disturbing pattern of domestic violence convictions in Washington state, with the most recent involving a protective order violation just months before he moved in with Tammy. It wasn't hidden. Anyone doing a basic screening should have seen the red flags from a mile away. This oversight allowed a person with documented violent tendencies the ability to move in with an unsuspecting, young, nursing student. What's worse is how easily this all could have been prevented. Even a simple Google search would have turned up his criminal history. And that's what makes this so hard to swallow, because someone failed to take even that basic step.
What's the point of a background check if it can't catch something this obvious? How many other tenants have slipped through the cracks? And most importantly, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again?
And even more shocking, Tammy had called police on Chester before. She'd reported that he had poured a liquid on her face. Then, precisely 1 week before her death, Tammy found herself in a heated argument with Chester regarding their cats. The confrontation quickly turned hostile when Chester threatened her, hid her cell phone from her hand, and told her she was dead. Fearing for her safety, Tammy called the Houston Police Department. She reported what happened and what had been said, but no arrest was made. After this, she also reached out to the property management company called For a Place to Live, LLC. She told an employee that she no longer felt safe sharing the apartment with Chester. She asked them for a Zoom meeting to talk about her safety concerns. That meeting was scheduled for April 26th at 3 p.m., but the company cancelled just 2 hours before it was set to start. John Odunsi, Tammy's father, also reported that the police had actually visited Tammy's apartment multiple times before her murder. After stabbing himself in what police believe was a failed suicide attempt, Chester was arrested a week later. Investigators found out that Chester had stabbed himself 6 times, including once in the neck. The next day, on May 3rd, he was charged with her murder. A Harris County judge set his bond at $500,000 and noted his history of violence, including a recent domestic violence conviction from September 2023. As of now, July 2025, he's still awaiting trial. On July 7th, Tammy's parents filed a $65 million lawsuit against multiple entities. They filed against For a Place to Live, LLC, the property company that paired her with Chester. They sued Safe Rent Solutions, the company that ran his background check, and they filed suit against Chester himself. Their attorneys argued that Tammy should never have been matched with someone who had a documented history of violence.
We're here today, just seeking justice for the family. I don't know what I would do if something like this happened to my daughter.
Her mother, Adenique, spoke at the press conference.
She did everything right, but no one listened to my daughter.
The lawsuit also focuses on the cancelled meeting, the missed opportunity to help Tammy just hours before she was killed. Her family has flown between the UK and Texas, facing press conferences, courtrooms, and grief. A GoFundMe page raised over £75,000 to cover funeral expenses and bring Tammy home. Her sister Georgina accepted Tammy's nursing pin at the university graduation ceremony, surrounded by tears and silence. Tammy's story is a sad example of what happens when cries for help are ignored. She was on the edge of everything she had worked for: graduation, a new career, a future, and it was taken from her in the place she was supposed to feel safe. And now her family is doing everything they can to make sure her name doesn't fade from memory, and this doesn't happen to anyone else.
And that's the case of how an innocent college student was murdered. Kai would love to hear from you, so leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget that you can also join us over in the Patreon, patreon.com/loveandmurder. That's all we have for you today, and we'll see you in the next case.